Hello guys, what's up? It's JF Butler. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at my M4A1 76W with HVSS suspension. This is also known as the M4A1 E8. However, that name was used, but very briefly. It was only used during the trials when they were testing out the HVSS suspension. But after they accepted it, the name changed to M4A1 76W with HVSS. And also, M4A1 means the whole type with the engine, and the 76 means the gun. This is the M1 76mm cannon. And the W means that this has wet ammo storage. And then the HVSS just specifies this suspension. So yeah, that's the name. It's kind of a mouthful. It's not really pretty. But hey, the United States Army in World War II kind of had a weird naming convention. Like they had the M3 Stuart and then the M3 Lee. What can you do? But yeah, so this is my take on the M4A1 76W HVSS. As you can see, this is literally just my M4A1 design, but just modified to this new configuration, you could say. The turret is the T-23 turret. So when I say the T-23 turret, this just means that this turret was originally used on the T-23 tank prototype. And when the United States wanted to put the bigger and better 76mm cannon into the Sherman, they originally tested it with the original turret, but they didn't like how cramped it was, and they're like, oh, well, we have, this prototype, the T-23. So they literally took that turret from that prototype and just stuck it on the M4 Sherman because they had like similar turret diameters. So that's how we get the this turret. So yeah, this is also my turret design, completely new. I kind of used a new method that no one else has used before on the gun mantlet. So you can see right there, just like a slight negative angle to it, which the real T-23 turret does have. If you look at pictures of the T-23 turret, especially from the side, you can see how it's like angling down like slightly. Like it's very subtle, but you can still notice it. And also, I put a lot of junk. I guess not junk. A lot of supplies on the back. This was directly inspired by Brickmania's new M4A2 E8 Fury tank. And I gotta say, like, just putting a ton of stuff on the back, like, it's actually pretty nice. I like it. It really gives you a sense of, like, this thing is, going to war. So yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. Also, because this is the Sherman with the HVSS suspension. You can see that the tracks are too wide. That's just to give better ground pressure, better mobility. Because the Shermans during the war with the normal VVS suspension. By the way, VVS means vertical volute suspension system, and HVSS means horizontal volute suspension system. So what they did was they literally turned the original one on its side, so it's just like going horizontally, and I gave them like more movement for the suspension. But yeah, anyways, the normal Shermans with VVSS, they had issues during the war where the ground pressure was a little too high. They would kind of sink in the mud too much, kind of fall over too easily. So this was the E8 or the EZ8 program was initiated to address that problem. Now, a Sherman does not have to be an E8 like the M4A2 E8 or the M4A3 E8 or the M4A1 E8. It doesn't have to be an E8 to have a 76 millimeter gun. The 76 millimeter gun with T23 turret, that was before the HVSS program. So you will see Shermans with the normal VVSS suspension, but with the new turret. It's just like pretty complicated. Shermans can come in many different varieties of configurations because they were just slowly upgraded throughout the war. Also, another notable variant of this specific tank is the Israeli M51 Super Sherman. So after war, the State of Israel was created, and they needed tanks, and they standardized on the M4A1 with HVSS and used French modified T23 turrets with the French 105 millimeter gun. So when you see an M4A1 with HVSS, you'll usually see Israeli Super Shermans, but of course, the United States Army also used this configuration of M4A1 Sherman. And also, the Israelis didn't use just M4A1s. They also used some M4A4s that were modified to have HVSS. And they also switched out all the engines and stuff. But that is just a completely different story of the Israeli Super Shermans. But because I have this design, I can easily modify this into an Israeli Super Sherman. Like, all I have to do pretty much is change the turret and maybe change some things in the rear, and I'll have an M51. And there was someone that asked me to make an M51, so it's probably very unlikely that I will do it, but maybe sometime in the future, if I'm bored, I can just easily modify this design, and I have a Israeli M51 Super Sherman. Brickmania also made a M51 Super Sherman a while back, and it looks freaking huge. And it uses like the Lego 2.6 wide tracks, which just looks ridiculous, to be honest. And yeah, it's looking at it now with how far we've come as a community, it's just like kind of hard to look at. I mean, it's still a good design, like, don't get me wrong, but yeah. All right, here we are. We're at the comparison / hands-on stage portion of this video. You guys know the drill. I'm just gonna kind of show you some features and then compare with other similar vehicles I have. But starting off here, I did manage to incorporate a pretty slick travel lock design. So you can see that there. It uses these really nice arm pieces. I don't know where they're from, what sets, but it's just really nice and it works out like really well. And you can see it right there. So it's like the perfect height. So yeah, it's pretty much perfect. Of course, the turret does go 360 degrees. I don't want to raise the gun, but it can go 360 degrees if you don't have all the stuff on the back. And of course, the commander's cupola does open. Yep, so there we go. So you can put a guy on top there. And also, these hatches do open. However, I'm not going to open it because you do have to remove the turret to open the hatches, because the turret is slightly blocking the hatches there. So we'll just close that up. Yada, yada, yada. Closing that up. Okay, there we go. And also, here's a closer look at the stowage on the back. So the notable things here are the printed crates. These are from BBG Forge. They're pretty cool, pretty nice, pretty high quality. I would recommend them. However, they are literally like the most generic thing ever. They don't have any markings on them. And also they can be a little bit expensive if you need a lot of them. If you need a lot of crates, and especially if you want like markings on them, then I would recommend the Brickmania sticker packs for the crates. But I'm kind of a crazy guy, and I actually ordered a ton of printed crates from another business, which when they get here, I will probably do an unboxing of those. Um, but yeah, those ones have like specific markings, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, so this is like kind of a jerry can or whatever. You got like some stuff strapped on the back here. You got all your tools, and you got a bag, and you have a spare road wheel. And here's a closer look at the HVSS suspension. So you can see there is 2 wheels. There's actually 4 wheels per bogie. And it's a pretty complicated design, so it's using each bogie uses 2 monopods and 2 U-clips with a cut rigid hose. So it's pretty complex. It took me a long time to come up with this, but I'm really happy I took a long time to do it because it just turned out really good, and I really like how it looks. So that's going to be the design I'm going to use going forward whenever I build other Shermans or other vehicles with HVSS. And of course, this vehicle is in 135 scale, just like the rest of my vehicles. Here's infantryman for scale, and here is a tanker for scale. So you can see that. I think it looks pretty good. Side note here, Brickmania's new M4A2 E8 Fury Sherman, whatever. I will have to give them props. They did shorten the width of the Sherman from 10 studs wide down to 9. On their other M4A3 E8 designed by Nate, it was still originally 10 studs wide, but they got it down to 9 studs wide on their newest Sherman, so that's pretty cool. And the reason why 9 studs is important for a Sherman in 1/35 scale is because when you calculate the width, like convert it to Lego studs, it actually comes out to 9.3 studs. So it should be 9 instead of 10. 9 is a little more accurate, and I think it makes a big difference, to be honest. And also because the boxes are right here, you can put a minifigure on top, and he can reach the 50 cal Browning on the top there pretty easily with no issues. So in if you're playing with this, you can have the guy like actually touch the machine gun, like that. I'm not going to connect them to it, but just showing that off there. So yeah, anyways, that's a comparison with the minifigs. All right, so the first vehicle comparison here is my original M4A1 Sherman. It's pretty obvious why I'm comparing these two, because this design is based directly off of this design. So this is the original, and also this is the early type M4A1. So it doesn't have the like the return roller on the side of the bogie. It's like on the top. So this is like the very, very early type M4A1. It's actually interesting looking at these two because this is the earliest M4A1 Sherman in the war, excluding the prototypes. Those are earlier. And then this is the latest M4A1 Sherman in the war. So this is like the first version, and then this is the last version. So it's just really interesting, like seeing all the differences. So I'll just like kind of point them out here. Number one, it's the suspension. They changed that. The turret, they changed that. And also the transmission housing here, they changed that. So this is the 3-piece transmission housing, where these are like kind of bulging out, and they changed it to a 1-piece cast transmission housing. So that's like 3 major differences there, and then there's like a ton of minor differences, like the travel lock here, they added that on, and also they changed the rear a little bit, so you can look at the rear here. So you can see like on the original one they kind of had a cutout in the top, but on the later one they just made it like a consistent piece. So But yeah, they still use the same engine. Still mostly the same, but a lot of minor differences. So yeah, that's the first comparison, the M4A1. All right, the second and last comparison here is the uh, M4A1 76W. So this is just a normal M4A1 with the T23 turret. However, it does not have the newer type of suspension. So this still has the older type, HVSS. And this is just interesting because I already showed off this design a bunch and I used it in like my biggest stop motion ever. Thank you for supporting that, by the way. But this is from Omaha Bricks. I forget the designer who designed this, but I think they did a really good job. This is highly modified from the original design, so the rear is a little bit different. Obviously, the turret is completely different. I think I added on this travel lock. I don't think this travel lock is original. So yeah, I just like heavily modified it, and it's a really good design. I highly recommend it. But yeah, this is just interesting to compare because these are supposedly both in 1/35th scale. However, you can just see, whoops. So yeah, these are supposedly both in 1/35th scale. However, you can see like how different they are. So you can see on the Omaha Bricks M4A1 that it's 10 studs wide. However, it has this really nice bow machine gun where you can actually move it a little bit. On mine you can't, it's just completely stationary. But yeah, this is 10 studs wide, and this is a turret from a different designer. This is from Just Tanks, I believe, on Instagram. And this is my completely original T23 turret design. And you can see how much smaller mine is. So yeah, his is like freaking huge. Even for the Omaha Brick Sherman, like that turret is crazy big. But yeah, I think this is a really interesting comparison. Just looking at these two side by side, they are not completely the same variant. This one is an even later version of this, but you can directly compare the turrets, and you can just see like the massive difference there. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun building this. This is like probably my favorite tank right now. But that will change soon when I build other stuff. Of course, as it always does. But yeah, anyways, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. If you have any thoughts, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more updates from me, I post more frequently on Instagram now. I do like, I show off builds in advance. I actually posted this on Instagram 2 days ago. So if you were following me on Instagram, you would have seen that there first. Yeah, anyways, this is the end of the video now. I'm going to go, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.